Welcome to Zoe Stories. I was a regular guy until her makeup made me obsessed lipstick cyclone. My name is Adam, 25, clean-cut, recently promoted IT analyst. The kind of guy no one looks at twice, quiet, dependable, normal. I wore navy polos and khakis like a second skin, kept my hair short, and always followed the rules. If you saw me at work, you'd never guess what was quietly growing inside me like a ticking clock. I lived in a small, cozy apartment on the edge of the city with my girlfriend, Emma. We'd been together 2 years. Emma was confident, artistic, always experimenting with new looks, outfits, and most of all, makeup. Her vanity table was a colorful chaos of brushes, palettes, and sparkling tubes of gloss. I'd watch her get ready, transfixed, pretending to scroll my phone, hiding how mesmerized I was by the slow sweep of highlighter on her cheekbones or the slick swipe of lipstick across her lips. I didn't know when it started, this pull I couldn't explain. I didn't think of myself as a crossdresser. It wasn't sexual. It wasn't even intentional. But sometimes when Emma was out and I was alone, I'd find myself walking into the bathroom, just looking, then touching, then swiping a little shimmer on my cheek just to see what it felt like. It made me feel strange, nervous, alive. It had happened again a week ago. Emma had left for a weekend trip with her sister, and I'd been alone in the apartment. I'd tried to relax, maybe watch some dumb action movie, but my eyes kept drifting toward the vanity in our bedroom. Her makeup bag sat half-zipped. A little tube of liquid lipstick, deep berry red, peeked out like it was calling to me. I stared at it for what felt like an hour. Then I gave in. I didn't just swipe it. I applied it properly. Full lips. Carefully. Slowly. I even used the little mirror on her desk to fix the edges. My heart pounded. I was trembling by the time I was done. But when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself. And that terrified me, because I liked it. Emma didn't know. Or, if she did, she never said anything. Our relationship was good, safe.
She loved me.
I think. But she always said I was too contained. Too reserved. She wanted to shake me up sometimes. Once she even joked, "If I dared you to wear lipstick, would you?" I laughed. I always laugh things off. But part of me wanted her to dare me for real. We met back in college. She was this bold, artsy girl with purple eyeliner and oversized earrings. I was the shy guy who helped her fix her Wi-Fi. She teased me until I blushed. I think she liked that I was so quiet, it made her feel louder. I fell for her confidence, her style, the way she wore heels like armor. She fell for, well, maybe the fact that I was safe, predictable, easy. But over time, that predictability became a prison. Not for her. For me. It was Tuesday evening when it started again. Emma was going out to dinner with a friend, some new girl from her art studio. "Be back late," she said, leaning in for a kiss. She wore shimmering rose gold eyeshadow and a mauve lipstick I'd never seen before. It smelled like vanilla. "You like the color?" she asked, smirking. "Yeah," I said too quickly.
Her smirk deepened.
"You'd look cute in it." I laughed again. Always laughing. She winked. "Be good." The door clicked shut. Silence fell. I stood in the hallway, heart racing. That lipstick. That comment. That smell. It wasn't a dare. But it felt like one. The apartment was quiet. Too quiet. I walked into the bedroom like I was being pulled by strings. Her makeup bag was still out. The lipstick tube sat on top. Mauve Misfit. That was the shade name. It was like it was meant for me. My hands moved before I could stop them. I picked it up, opened it, inhaled the soft, sweet scent. Then, in front of the mirror, I carefully applied it. My breath caught. I didn't look like Adam anymore. I didn't look like anyone I knew. I looked beautiful?
No.
That couldn't be right. But I couldn't stop staring. Then I heard something. The elevator down the hall. A door shutting. My blood froze. What if Emma forgot something? What if she came back? Panic surged through me. I grabbed a tissue, frantically trying to wipe the lipstick away. But it smeared. It got on my cheek, on my fingers. I looked like a clown. I scrubbed harder. But the more I scrubbed, the more desperate I felt. Like I was trying to erase not just the lipstick, but this part of me. And maybe
I didn't want to.
that terrified me most of all. That night, I barely slept. Even after scrubbing the lipstick away, the ghost of it lingered. I kept catching my reflection in the darkened mirror, as if some shadow version of me was still standing there, wearing her lips, her smirk, her confidence. By morning, I was quiet over breakfast. Emma was scrolling her phone, sipping black coffee. Her hair was up in a messy bun. She wore an oversized tee and no makeup, but even like that, she looked effortlessly feminine. "Everything okay?" she asked between bites of toast.
Yeah.
"Just tired." "You get up to something while I was gone?" Her voice was playful, but there was a flicker of something behind her eyes. Teasing but also searching? I froze mid-sip.
No.
"Just watch some TV." She nodded slowly. Then, without looking up, she said, "I think I left that new lipstick out. You didn't knock it over or anything, right? It's kind of expensive." My stomach twisted. She was fishing. "I didn't touch anything," I said, too quickly. She finally looked at me, one eyebrow raised. But she let it go.
For now.
Over the next few days, something shifted. It wasn't just the memory of the lipstick. It was a craving, a whisper in the back of my mind, growing louder. I'd catch myself glancing at her makeup bag, watching her get ready with more than just admiration, with longing. Not just for her beauty, for the act of becoming beautiful. One night, she was in the shower. Steam rolled out of the bathroom. Her purse sat on the dresser, slightly open. I peeked. The same tube. Mauve misfit. I felt my fingers twitch. But I didn't touch it. Not yet. Then came Saturday. Emma had a full-day art workshop. She'd be gone for hours. "I'll probably be back around 8, she said, grabbing her tote. "There's leftovers in the fridge." I barely nodded. My heart was already racing. As soon as the door shut, I stood there for a full minute, breathing in the silence. I didn't move toward the makeup table. I ran to it. This time, I didn't just try on lipstick. I opened the drawer and pulled out a compact foundation. I'd seen her do it dozens of times. I applied it with shaking hands. It smelled like vanilla and lavender. I added the same mauve shade to my lips. A bit of blush. Mascara. Then I froze. Outfit. I walked to her side of the closet. Something inside me screamed to stop, to go back. But the other voice, the one that had been growing louder each day, pushed me forward. I chose a simple burgundy dress. Flowing. Not too tight, but short enough to feel dangerous. I pulled it over my head. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my ears. Then the final step. Her heels. Black, strappy, 3-inch stilettos. They stood like monuments at the bottom of her closet. I slipped one on. Wobbled. Then the other. I stood, clumsy, awkward, towering taller. And then, I walked to the mirror. What I saw stole the air from my lungs. I looked ridiculous. The foundation was uneven. The mascara slightly smudged. My hair too short to frame my face right. But beneath that, there was her. Not Emma.
Me.
The version of me I'd never met, but somehow always known. Not Adam. Not exactly. Just the girl in the mirror. Someone softer, bolder, scared and beautiful all at once. My knees trembled, but I didn't want to change back. Then my phone buzzed. "Emma. Workshop ended early. Be home in 20 yawning face red heart." Panic. Pure panic. 20 minutes? I nearly fell out of the heels trying to kick them off. The dress caught on my head. I smudged the lipstick trying to wipe it. Foundation streaked down my neck. Mascara left black tracks on my fingertips. I scrubbed.
Washed.
Changed. Stuffed everything back. But I was sweating. Shaking. By the time Emma walked in, I was on the couch pretending to watch TV. She paused in the doorway, looking at me. "Did you shower?" "Huh? Yeah, just now." "You look kind of flushed." "Just hot in here." She raised an eyebrow again. "You okay?" I nodded too fast. Totally. She walked to the bathroom. I swallowed hard. Then I heard her voice, casual but pointed. Hey, did you use my cleanser? I froze. What? My bottles moved. I didn't answer. Silence. Then she laughed lightly. Weirdo. But her tone didn't match the smile. That night, I couldn't sleep again. The girl in the mirror haunted me. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her, trembling in heels, lips parted, eyes wide with fear and wonder. I told myself it was a one-time thing.
A mistake.
But the next morning, when Emma got up early to go for a run, I watched her ponytail swing as she left, and all I could think about was how much I wanted to do it again. It didn't stop. The next time Emma left the house, it didn't take 20 minutes.
It took 5.
I waited by the window like a kid watching for the school bus to leave, except I wasn't dreading anything. I was hungry. As soon as she was out of view, I was already moving. The foundation went on smoother now. I used the primer first, Emma always did. I'd been watching YouTube tutorials in secret. Contouring videos, eye makeup breakdowns, tutorials titled Feminize Your Face with Makeup. It was no longer just curiosity. It was devotion. And then, I did something I hadn't dared before. I went back to her closet and picked the red dress. The tight one. It hugged me in places I didn't know could be hugged. My chest looked fuller thanks to a little padding I'd experimented with. I found myself posing, tilting my hip, pursing my lips at the mirror. And then I said it, aloud, softly, like testing the taste of it. I'm pretty. My heart raced. I didn't feel ridiculous. I felt alive. I started planning around her schedule, taking days off, pretending to work from home. I even ordered a few things online, a cheap blonde wig, a set of press-on nails, some costume jewelry, all shipped to a locker across town. I told myself it wasn't weird. I wasn't cheating. I was just exploring. But then one day, as I was putting on eyeliner in the mirror, I heard the door. Not the elevator.
The door.
It clicked. Opened. My stomach dropped through the floor.
Adam.
Emma's voice called.
No.
I hadn't heard her say she'd be back early. I hadn't even heard her text. I froze. Wig half on. Lipstick half done. Dress zipped up. Heels strapped. I had seconds. I bolted to the bathroom, nearly slipping. Slammed the door shut. Locked it. Babe, she knocked. You okay? Yeah. Just stomach issues.
She paused.
You okay? I flushed the toilet. Turned on the faucet. Yeah, just give me a minute. My eyes locked with my reflection in the bathroom mirror. Mascara.
Wig.
Lipstick. The illusion was crumbling. I yanked the wig off. Threw cold water on my face. It smeared the makeup like melting paint. Everything good? She asked again. Fine. I scrubbed hard. But the mascara wouldn't come off fully. My eyes stayed red. My cheeks raw. When I finally stepped out, she was standing there, concerned. You don't look good. I don't feel good. She reached for my face. You're flushed and your eyes are kinda black? I shrugged. Didn't sleep. She stared at me for a long time. I waited for her to ask the question. The one that would break the glass. But she didn't. Later that night, we were watching a movie. I kept stealing glances at her lips. She wore the softest pink gloss. Her bare legs were tucked under her. Her perfume hung in the air. She suddenly spoke without looking at me. You ever wonder what it's like?
What?
To be someone else. I swallowed. Sometimes. She nodded. Like, what if we could trade bodies? Be someone new. Try on a different life. I went still. I guess, I said, careful.
Why?
She turned to me, smiling. Just curious. But there was something else in her eyes. Something like knowing. The next morning, she left for yoga. I told myself I'd resist. That I'd be strong. I even cleaned the apartment. Did dishes.
Read.
But the moment I walked by the vanity, I cracked. I went full glam. False lashes.
Wig.
Red dress. Black tights.
Heels. Jewelry.
Emma's perfume. The mirror showed a stranger. But she wasn't strange to me anymore. She was me. I gave her a name.
Amy.
Amy tilted her head. Amy smiled. Amy wasn't nervous, or scared, or pretending. Amy existed. And Adam just watched. Then came the sound. A knock at the door. 3 soft raps. Not Emma. She had keys. I panicked, rushed toward the closet to hide. But the knocking came again. Package, a voice called out. Relief flooded me. Just delivery. But I was shaken. What if the neighbor had seen through the peephole? What if someone reported a strange woman in Adam's apartment? The dress suddenly felt tighter. The wig itched. My heart pounded. I wasn't safe. That night, I stripped off the dress slower than usual. Not out of shame. Out of sadness. Amy had to go.
But she didn't want to.
And neither did I. I stopped pretending. When Emma was gone, I didn't clean anymore. I didn't fake working from home. I didn't even check the clock. I just became her. Amy. It wasn't about the thrill anymore. It was about comfort, familiarity, wholeness. Putting on Emma's perfume was like breathing. Sliding into tights? Like coming home. But it was getting harder to hide. Emma started noticing little things. The way her lipstick was suddenly duller. The faint smell of her body spray in the bathroom at odd times. A pair of her heels out of place. One evening, she held up her mascara and said, "This one's almost dry, and I barely used it." I froze.
Oh.
Weird, I replied. Her eyes locked onto mine. She didn't say a word, but I felt something click between us. A quiet confirmation of suspicion. That night, I dreamt I was in front of the mirror again, wearing the red dress. But this time, Emma was standing behind me, watching silently.
She didn't speak.
She just reached forward and gently touched my reflection's lips, smearing the lipstick with her thumb. The next morning, I tried to be normal, made coffee, scrolled my phone, sat beside her on the couch. Emma suddenly said, "Adam, what's going on with you lately?" My heart stopped. What do you mean? You're distracted, nervous, different. I looked at her, trying to gauge how far I could deflect. I've just been stressed. She tilted her head. Then, softly, "Is there someone else?"
No. God, no.
It's not like that. She leaned in, whispering now. Then what is it? I opened my mouth. Nothing came out. That evening, she left again. No explanations. No kiss goodbye. Just keys grabbed off the hook and a quiet, "I'll be back later." I paced the apartment. I didn't know whether to feel angry, ashamed, or relieved. Eventually, I gave in again. But this time, something was different. I went to the drawer and pulled out her softest pink dress. Slipped on nude tights. Did the makeup slowly, with precision. Like a ceremony. Amy came together like a dream. Gentle, poised, perfect. Then I did something I'd never dared. I turned on soft music, poured wine into a glass, and danced just a little. Alone in the low light. Like Amy was celebrating her existence. And then I heard the keys in the door. My blood turned to ice. Too late. There wasn't time to run. Or hide. Or strip anything off. The door opened. Emma stood in the threshold, holding her tote. She looked at me. Amy. Her mouth opened slightly. The room held its breath. I didn't move. She didn't scream. She didn't even look angry. She looked stunned. And somehow, even more beautiful than I remembered. Her eyes scanned me slowly. The tights. The heels. The nails.
The wig.
And finally my face. Her lipstick. Her eyeshadow. Her mascara. Her mirror image. She stepped inside, shut the door gently, and said just one thing. "So it's you." I backed up. "Emma?" I knew something was up, but I didn't want to believe it. I didn't mean to. "Don't lie." I stopped. She stared at me for a long moment, then walked over. Her heels clicked softly against the hardwood. She circled me once, slowly, eyes never leaving my body. Then, standing in front of me, she lifted a hand toward my face. I flinched, but she only wiped her thumb across my cheek, smearing the blush.
Her voice trembled now.
You've been using everything. How long? Since that night with the lipstick. She nodded.
Silent.
A single tear slid down her cheek. Then, in a voice filled with something like pain and awe, she whispered, "You're beautiful." I didn't expect that. The word echoed in my head. Beautiful. Not freak. Not liar. Not pervert. Beautiful. But why? She asked finally. I don't know, I said, barely able to speak. At first it was a dare. Then a game. Then it felt like breathing. Like someone inside me had always been waiting. And you never told me. I was terrified. She nodded again. Then walked to the mirror. She looked at my reflection. Then at her own. And back again. 2 women. One real. One becoming. She turned back to me and said, "You didn't steal this from me." I looked up. "You found yourself through me." But then her voice broke. "Why didn't you trust me?" "I didn't want to lose you." She stared at me, eyes glassy. And then, quietly, she said, "Maybe you already did." She walked to the door.
Paused.
And added, without looking back, "Makeup wipes are under the sink."
Click. Door closed.
I stood there. Not Adam. Not fully Amy. Just shattered. In the silence, I looked into the mirror again. The smudged mascara. The trembling lips. The red dress suddenly felt too tight. The heels painful. I pulled off the wig. Then the earrings. The tights. One piece at a time, I dismantled her. But the face in the mirror? It didn't change. Even with everything gone, Amy still looked back at me. 3 days. That's how long it had been since Emma left. No texts. No calls. Not even her toothbrush was in the bathroom anymore. I stayed home. Didn't dress up. Didn't even look at the mirror. I was afraid I wouldn't see me anymore. Or worse, I'd only see her. Amy. On the 4th day, I finally broke. I opened the drawer. No makeup. No wig. Just the red dress. I held it for a long time, like it was a living thing. Like it could speak. My hands shook as I unfolded it. And then I slid it over my body one last time. No makeup. No jewelry. Just me and the dress. Stripped of illusion. Stripped of performance.
But still somehow me.
There was a knock on the door. Not like before. This time it was soft. Deliberate. I knew that knock.
Emma.
I opened the door slowly. She stood there, arms crossed, eyes unreadable. Then she stepped in without a word. We stood in silence.
Her eyes scanned me.
Red dress. Bare face. No pretense. No fear. Just truth. "You're not wearing makeup," she finally said. I nodded. "I wanted you to see not Amy. Not the show. Just me." She took a breath. And asked, quietly, "Do you love me?" I blinked. Of course. "But are you in love with me? Or the version of yourself you found through me?" I hesitated. That question cut deeper than any before. "It's not either or," I said. "You opened the door." But I walked through it. She sat down slowly, her eyes never leaving me. Then, softly, "I watched you." I froze. "What?" She reached into her purse.
Pulled out her phone.
I set up a motion camera the day I suspected.
I didn't know what I'd find.
I thought maybe you were cheating. Or hiding something else. She pulled up the screen. And there I was. On video. Dancing. Smiling. Spinning in her dress. Being free. "I watched that clip 10 times, she said. "Why?" I asked. Because I couldn't tell if I was heartbroken or jealous. My throat tightened. "I didn't mean to hurt you."
You didn't, she said.
"You scared me." She stood up. Walked toward me. Slowly. Then stopped. I loved Adam. I looked away.
But
I see Amy too now. She touched the dress. Ran her fingers across the fabric. "I see how it makes you feel." I swallowed hard. "I don't know who I am anymore," I whispered. She nodded. "I think you do." A long pause. Then she said the one thing that changed everything. Show me. I didn't move at first. She took my hand, led me to the mirror. Not the red dress, she said.
You.
Let me see you. We stood there, side by side. No filters, no glamour, just truth. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was hiding anything. I picked up the mascara.
She didn't stop me.
I opened the lipstick. She nodded. Together, we built Amy. But this time, it wasn't a mask. It was a mirror. When I was done, I looked at her. She was crying, smiling. She touched my cheek and whispered, "You're still the person I love, just in a different light." I sobbed. I don't know where this leads. Neither do I, she said. But maybe we don't need to know right now. Then she handed me something, a necklace. Her mother's. The one she said she'd never take off. If you're going to be Amy, be her fully. She clasped it around my neck. And for the first time, I felt complete. We sat together for hours.
Talking.
Laughing. Holding hands. As night fell, she looked at me and whispered, "Maybe the real question isn't whether I love Amy." She leaned closer. "It's whether you do." I looked into the mirror again, and for once didn't flinch. The necklace felt heavier the next morning, not because of its weight, but because of what it meant. Emma was still asleep beside me. Her hair sprawled across the pillow like wild silk, her arm gently touching mine. I lay still, staring at the ceiling, feeling the warmth of the moment, and the chill of what would come next. Because being Amy wasn't just a nighttime fantasy anymore.
It was real now.
And the real world wasn't so forgiving. I tiptoed out of bed and walked to the mirror. Still Amy. Even without makeup. Even in Emma's oversized t-shirt. The necklace shimmered softly around my neck. I touched my face. I didn't want to wipe her away anymore. But I didn't know how to live with her either. Emma stirred behind me. "You're awake early." I turned. She sat up, rubbing her eyes, looking at me, not with confusion or regret. Just curiosity. "Are you okay?" she asked. I nodded. "I think so." She patted the bed. I sat beside her. We sat in silence until she said the thing I was afraid to admit out loud. "So, what now?" That one question cracked the fantasy wide open. What now meant choices. It meant facing the people outside these walls. It meant dealing with the eyes, the whispers, the confusion. It meant no more hiding. I tried to answer, but my voice caught. Emma reached for my hand. "You don't have to figure everything out today," she said. "But I do think we need to talk. Really talk." I nodded. "I'm listening." Over the next hour, we did talk. More honestly than ever. She told me she wasn't angry, but she was scared. I fell in love with Adam. But now I'm wondering, did Adam exist? Or was he always just Amy pretending? That stung, but I understood. "I never lied to you," I said quietly. "But I didn't know who I was either." She took a breath. "I need to understand what this means. For us.
For you."
That night, I dressed as Amy again. Not out of guilt. Not even out of excitement. But because I needed to feel whole.
I wore jeans this time.
A soft pink blouse. Nothing flashy. Just me. Emma watched silently. And then surprised me. She smiled. Cute. We decided to go out. Just for groceries. My heart pounded as we walked to the car. Every step felt louder than the last.
People didn't look at me.
Not really. But I felt like they did. My hands trembled as I picked up items from the shelves. A boy at the counter smiled politely. He called me ma'am. I nearly cried. But it wasn't all beautiful. Later that week, Emma's best friend Jessica came over. She didn't know anything. I changed back into Adam. Clean-shaven. Baggy hoodie. Neutral. But Jessica noticed something. She whispered to Emma in the kitchen. "Has Adam lost weight? He seems softer." I stood there in the hallway listening. Emma didn't respond right away. Then, quietly, "He's figuring things out." That night, I asked her, "Do I embarrass you?" Emma looked genuinely hurt. "Never." I looked away. "I don't want to be a secret." She reached for me. "Then don't be." But do it when you're ready, not because you feel like you have to. Weeks passed. Amy became more than a look. She became myself. I laughed differently. I stood differently. Even when I dressed as Adam, something had changed. People at work noticed. Something's different about you, my coworker Dave said. I just smiled. If only he knew. But one evening changed everything. I came home early. Emma was on a video call. Her laptop screen showed her sister. I stepped in, forgetting I was still Amy. No wig, but makeup.
A blouse.
Feminine posture. Emma's sister saw me. Her eyes widened. And then she said something that chilled me. Is that him? Emma froze. I backed away. Later, she came to my room. She won't tell anyone, she said. But her eyes were heavy. Worried. She didn't sound angry. Emma, she sounded disgusted. Emma said nothing. And that silence spoke volumes. That night, I looked in the mirror again. I didn't cry. I didn't panic. But I asked the question I had been avoiding for weeks. Can I really do this? Can I live like this? Will I lose friends? Family? Emma? She came in quietly. I want to show you something, she said. She opened her phone. It was that same video.
Me.
Dancing in the living room.
Carefree.
Beautiful. Untouched by fear. I watch this sometimes, she whispered, to remind myself of the joy I saw in you, before the fear set in. Then she looked at me. Don't let fear kill her. I swallowed hard. And nodded. I won't. But just as things started to feel possible again, a knock came at the door. Same knock as last time.
Soft. Slow.
But this time it wasn't Emma's sister. It was my mother. My heart stopped. I looked at Emma. She froze too. We both knew that knock didn't belong to a neighbor or a delivery driver. That rhythm, slow, deliberate, familiar. Adam? It's Mom. Her voice filtered through the door like a cold wind. I was in full Amy mode. Blouse, skinny jeans, a light dusting of powder on my face, a peachy pink lip gloss. Hair in soft curls. The necklace still hanging around my neck. Emma whispered, You don't have to open it. But I did. Because if I didn't face her now, I'd never forgive myself. I opened the door. There she stood. My mother. Sharp eyes. Conservative skirt. Cross hanging from her neck like judgment itself. She stared at me. Not blinking. Not speaking. Just staring. Mom. I said, voice trembling. I can explain. She slowly stepped inside without saying a word. Her eyes scanned me, top to bottom. Her jaw tightened. What is this? I started to speak. But she cut me off. Is this a joke? Halloween? Some stupid dare from that girl of yours? Emma stood nearby, silent but firm. I shook my head.
No.
It's me. My mother blinked. What do you mean, you? I mean, this is who I am. Who I've always been. I just didn't know how to say it. She looked as if I'd punched her.
You're my son, she said.
Not this. I stepped back like her words slapped me. Emma moved forward, gently but firmly. He's still your child. My mother's face twisted. He? This is some sick game. Adam doesn't wear lipstick. Adam doesn't dress like a girl. I felt something inside me crack. Something I had stitched together for years, trying to be a good son, a normal boy, her obedient child. I tried. I whispered. All my life. I tried to be what you wanted. My voice broke. But I never fit. And you never asked why. She turned away, folded her arms.
This isn't about me.
No, I said. It's always been about you. Your image. Your control. Your religion. Your reputation. Tears welled in my eyes. I spent years hating myself because I knew I wasn't the son you wanted. There was silence. Then she said the one thing that shattered me. If your father was alive, he'd be ashamed. Emma gasped softly. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. She didn't hit me, but that sentence hurt more than any slap could. I turned away and ran to the bedroom, slammed the door, collapsed onto the bed, sobbing. Mascara streaked, lip gloss smeared, necklace tangling in my shaking fingers. Ashamed. The word looped over and over in my head. I curled into a ball, as if shrinking small enough would make Amy disappear. But she wouldn't. She was me, and I didn't want to erase her. Not anymore. Emma knocked gently. "Can I come in?" I said nothing. She entered anyway, kneeled beside me, pulled me into her arms. We stayed like that for what felt like an hour. Finally, I whispered, "Maybe she's right." Emma pulled back.
No.
"She isn't." She said Dad would be ashamed. Emma's eyes filled with tears. "But I'm not. And I'm here." She kissed my forehead. "You are beautiful.
And brave.
And this world doesn't deserve the softness you're offering it." That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling again, just like the night after my first transformation. Except this time, I wasn't wondering if I could live like this. I was wondering how I would survive the world's judgment. The next morning, there was a letter at the door. From Mom. No name.
Just cold handwriting.
I opened it. "You can live however you want, but don't expect me to support it. I raised a son. Not this. I hope you find peace, but I won't be a part of this choice." Emma read it with me. Then she ripped it in half. "I won't let her words break you." Days passed. I wore Amy less. Not because I wanted to hide her, but because I was scared. Not of Mom, but of who else might react the same. Then one evening, I looked at myself in the mirror again. Same girl. Same eyes. Same necklace. I said out loud, "You're not shameful. You're not wrong. You're not broken." And I believed it. That night I dressed again. Full look. Hair, makeup, soft blouse, pleated skirt. And I posted a photo online. First time ever. Caption: "She's been hiding for too long. Meet Amy." Within minutes, likes and comments poured in. Some cruel, but many kind. "You're gorgeous. Proud of you. Welcome, Amy." I wish I was this brave. I cried again, but this time from pride. Then a private message arrived. From my younger cousin. "I saw your photo, and I wanted to say thank you. I've been hiding too. I'm not a boy either. I thought I was alone." I read that message 10 times. And then I whispered, "I'm not alone either." But just as I started to breathe again, another message arrived. From my boss. "We need to talk." I stared at the message on my screen. "We need to talk. Mr. Dalton." My heart pounded. Not a text from HR. Not a call. Just 5 cold words in an email. He saw the photo. I knew it. The post of me as Amy had gone semi-viral in my circles. Somehow, it had made its way into the office Slack chat. And now, my boss knew. Emma leaned over my shoulder. "You don't know what it's about." I turned to her, makeup still half on, Amy's wig still in place. "I know exactly what it's about."
I didn't sleep that night.
I kept hearing voices. My mom's disgust. My father's imaginary shame. And now the looming voice of my boss, stern, disappointed, professional. I imagined walking into his office only to be fired on the spot. Worse, I imagined being humiliated. The next morning, I dressed safe. Neutral.
Pants.
No makeup. Hoodie. Adam. Version 1.0. I wanted to disappear into the cubicle walls. But when I walked into the office, all eyes were on me. Not many. Just enough. Enough to know the whispers had started. Enough to know the photo wasn't a secret anymore. Mr. Dalton's office door was already open. He was expecting me. He stood up when I walked in, closed the door behind me, and looked me in the eye. "Adam, or should I say Amy?" My stomach dropped. He pulled out his phone, opened my post, held it up. "Is this you?" I nodded. "Yes." My voice cracked. I'm sorry if it's inappropriate." He raised a hand. "Stop apologizing." I froze. His face was unreadable. Not angry. Not smiling. Just serious. "I didn't call you in to punish you. I called you in because I need your help." I blinked. "Help?" "My daughter, Clara. She's your age. Struggles with confidence. Won't leave the house without makeup, but cries every time someone looks at her. He paced slowly. Last night, she saw your photo. And she smiled. I stared. She said, Dad, I wish I had her courage. He looked at me. So, I want to offer you something. I sat down, dizzy. I don't understand. He nodded. You don't have to. But here it is. I run our diversity and inclusion outreach. We've been trying to find someone to help us connect with young adults, especially those dealing with gender identity, expression, and confidence issues. I want you to help us design that campaign. I blinked again. Me? He nodded. As Amy. My mouth opened. No words came out. You wouldn't have to leave your job, he added. You just wear both hats. Do your usual role, and moonlight as our outreach face. Then he paused. But only if you're comfortable.
I'm not forcing you.
My heart thundered. 2 weeks ago, I was hiding lipsticks in drawers. Now my boss was asking me to be a visible face for transformation. He smiled gently. Amy has something most people never will. Authenticity. And frankly, we need more of that. I left his office shaking. Not from fear, but from something else. Hope. Emma was waiting in the parking lot. When I told her, she screamed, then hugged me so tightly I couldn't breathe. Do it, she whispered. Say yes. But saying yes meant everything would change. No more hiding. No more deleting photos after 24 hours. No more pretending Adam and Amy weren't connected. It would be public.
Permanent.
Real. That night, I put on the red dress again. The one I wore the first time Emma transformed me. I looked in the mirror. Lipstick bold. Heels clicking softly as I turned. Hair curled, lashes long. Then I whispered, I'm ready. And this time, I meant it. But just as I smiled into the mirror, proud and radiant, there was a knock at the door. Emma answered. A second later, she gasped. Adam, she called. You need to see this. I stepped into the living room and froze. Standing in the doorway
Was my mom.
But this time, she wasn't alone. Behind her stood my aunt, uncle, and cousin, all staring at me, all knowing, all waiting. I stood frozen in the hallway. Lipstick perfect, red dress hugging my curves, necklace catching the hallway light, and all I could see were 4 stunned faces.
Mom.
Aunt Linda, Uncle Rayhan, and my younger cousin Rayyan. No one spoke. Even Emma, usually bold and unshaken, stood silent behind me. It was as if the air had been vacuumed out of the room. Then, my aunt finally broke the silence. My God, you look just like your father's sister. Her voice was trembling, but not with anger. With something else.
My mom was the first to react sharply.
She stepped forward. I didn't bring them here for this. She turned to the others. I brought them to show you all what he's done to himself. This is not okay. But Aunt Linda held up a hand. Let her speak. My eyes widened. Her. My mother blinked. But Aunt Linda didn't hesitate. I see Amy, not Adam. My mom was speechless for the first time in weeks. Uncle Rayhan just nodded slowly. You always were softer than the other boys. More thoughtful. We noticed, but we figured you'd find your own way. Then Rayyan stepped forward. He looked even more nervous than me. Can I talk to you alone? We stepped into my room. He closed the door. His hands were shaking. And then, he pulled something out of his hoodie. Lip gloss. Peachy pink. The same one I wore the first time Emma transformed me. I saw your photo. I've been hiding. He looked at me, eyes wet. I don't know who I am yet, but I know you made me feel less strong. I couldn't speak. I just hugged him.
Tight.
And for the first time since this all started, I didn't feel alone. I felt like maybe I was meant to be seen. Outside, Mom was still arguing, calling me confused, blaming Emma, saying I needed counseling. But now, I had a voice. I stepped into the living room again, Amy in full form, and I said clearly, this is who I am. Not because Emma made me, not because I'm confused, but because I'm finally brave enough to stop hiding. Mom shook her head, but I could see it, the cracks. Her control was slipping. Her fear wasn't about me. It was about what people would say. But I didn't care anymore. You can either accept me, I said, or leave. It hurt, but it was the truth. For the first time, I didn't beg for approval. I stood for me. Mom opened her mouth, but said nothing. She grabbed her purse, stormed out. No goodbye. No hug. But Aunt Linda stayed. She hugged me hard, whispered, "Your dad would have been proud. He always said you'd be the one to break patterns." Uncle Rayhan nodded. Rayanne smiled behind her. That night, Emma and I sat on the balcony. I was still in the red dress. Makeup still flawless. My body felt electric with adrenaline and peace. "What now?" I asked. Emma sipped her wine. "Now? We changed the world." The next day, I emailed Mr. Dalton. "Amy is ready." The email went out at 10:07 a.m. Subject: Meet Amy, the new face of our confidence campaign. With a photo. Not just any photo. Me, Amy, posing proudly in a silky blue blouse, bold red lips, and a confident smile. It wasn't just my coworkers now. It was the entire company. I had written the announcement myself. For years, I lived two lives, Adam by day, Amy by heart. Now, I'm finally proud to merge them both. It was honest.
Raw. Brave.
Mr. Dalton said it made him tear up. But not everyone was celebrating. By lunch, the messages started. Some were beautiful. "You're so brave. My team needed this." "I've been hiding too, thank you." But some were cruel. "This is a joke, right? HR gone mad. Guess anyone can be a woman now." And one message from an anonymous account chilled me. "You'll regret this." Emma found me in the hallway, staring at my phone. "You okay?" I tried to nod, but my fingers were trembling. "What if they're right?" I whispered. She gently touched my cheek, careful not to smudge my makeup. "They're not, and you're not going to hide anymore." That evening, I walked into the campaign's kickoff event. In front of lights, cameras, co-workers, reporters, a spotlight shining directly onto me. "Ladies and gentlemen," Mr. Dalton announced, "meet Amy, our new ambassador for fearless identity." I stepped onto the stage, and everyone clapped. But as I began to speak, my eyes caught a phone screen in the front row. It was someone live streaming, and the comments on the screen were cruel. Emoji vomit faces. Slurs. The word fake repeated over and over. My voice cracked. I felt my knees wobble. But Emma was in the crowd, nodding. Rayanne too, cheering louder than anyone. Aunt Linda, proudly wiping tears from her eyes. So I took a breath. And I said, "This isn't easy. But living a lie is harder. I'm not ashamed to be Amy anymore. And if my story helps even one person feel seen, then every hateful comment was worth it." The crowd went silent for a beat, then erupted into applause. Even the cameraman lowered his gear to clap. After the event, I went backstage. My hands were still shaking. That's when Mr. Dalton came in, looking pale. He held up his phone. "Someone just leaked your old school photos. They're circulating on Reddit. You, as a boy." I sat down, dizzy. "They're trying to erase Amy," I whispered. Mr. Dalton shook his head. "No, they're trying to scare you. That's all hate ever does." I stayed quiet for a long moment. Then I opened Instagram and posted the school photo myself. With this caption, "Yes, that was me. I wasn't hiding, I was surviving. But now I'm finally living." It went viral overnight. 10,000 likes, thousands of shares, more messages than I could read. Some still mean, but most of them, pure love. And in the sea of comments, one stood out. From a verified beauty influencer. "Amy, I see you. You're radiant. DM me. I want to feature you in my next collab." I read it 3 times. Then showed Emma. She screamed louder than she did when I said yes to the campaign. But just as we were celebrating, My phone buzzed. A new message. From my ex-best friend, Daniel. The guy who first dared me to try lipstick as a joke. I didn't mean for it to go this far. We need to talk. Daniel wanted to meet. The same Daniel who, in 9th grade, dared me to wear lipstick for fun, then laughed about it with the whole school. The same Daniel who used to be my closest friend until his joke broke me. We need to talk, his message had said. I wasn't sure if it was guilt or a setup. Emma sat next to me on the bed, watching my fingers hover over the reply button. Do it, she said gently. But only if you want to. I agreed to meet him at the old park where we used to hang out after school. When I arrived, he was already waiting, sitting on the swings, head down, as if ashamed. He stood up slowly when he saw me. His eyes widened.
Wow.
You really are her. I crossed my arms. Say what you came to say. He winced. I deserve that. Then he pulled out his phone. I didn't send the school photo.
I swear.
But I did tell someone about your transformation. I thought it would stay between us. I blinked. And who did you tell?
He looked down.
My girlfriend. My stomach dropped. She runs a gossip TikTok account. I didn't know she'd post about you. He looked genuinely sorry. She didn't know it was you at first. She just thought it was some internet story. I took a deep breath. The wind whipped through the trees. Leaves scattered like the emotions in my chest. Rage, betrayal, grief. Do you know what it felt like? Watching the world mock me for something I barely had the courage to share myself? He nodded slowly. I know. I messed up. But that lipstick moment, it wasn't just a joke to me. I narrowed my eyes. What? He looked at me, really looked. I gave it to you because I wondered if you'd look as pretty as I imagined. That hit harder than I expected. He continued. I didn't know what to do with that feeling back then. So I laughed it off. Told everyone it was a dare. But you looked stunning even then. It was so quiet, I could hear my own heartbeat. I don't forgive you, I said, finally. But I needed to hear the truth. He nodded. I don't deserve forgiveness. But maybe you can understand. Back then, I was scared too. We stood there in silence for a while. Then I turned to leave. But before I did, he called out. I'm really proud of who you've become, Amy.
I didn't say anything.
But something in me shifted. Not closure. Not healing. But release. That night, I told Emma everything. She sat across from me on the floor, brushing mascara onto my lashes for tomorrow's collab shoot. Do you regret seeing him? She asked softly. I thought for a moment.
No.
Because now I know this didn't start as a joke. It started as someone seeing me, even if they were too afraid to admit it. Emma kissed my cheek gently. Good. Now close your eyes, gorgeous. The next morning, I stepped onto a full-on production set. Ring lights, a hairstylist, a makeup artist who smiled and said, You don't need much help, but I'm honored to work on your face. The influencer, Valentina, was a force of beauty and power. Amy, darling, you're everything. Let's break the internet together. But just as the camera was rolling, my phone buzzed. A new message. From an unknown number. Hope you're enjoying your fame. You're still a fraud. Attached was a video clip. A voice. My mother. She's ruining our family's name. That's not my son. The video message kept playing, even though I'd stopped breathing. My mother's voice. My name, well, Adam's name, spoken like it was poison. This is humiliating. I don't know who that thing is pretending to be my son. But it's not family. Not anymore. My chest clenched. She had disowned me.
Publicly.
I hadn't spoken to her in months, not since I moved out and started living as Amy full-time. She'd refused to call me anything other than Adam. She'd ignored every text, dodged every call. But now she'd chosen to speak. To a stranger recording her.
Not to me.
Emma rushed to my side when she saw the look on my face. I showed her the video. She didn't flinch. She simply took my hand. I'm sorry, Amy. You didn't deserve this. You never did. Part of me wanted to disappear. To run from the cameras, rip off my wig, and lock myself in a bathroom stall like I used to in high school. But I didn't. Instead, I stepped back in front of the lights. Valentina watched me silently, waiting. I cleared my throat and said, "Hit record." I looked into the lens, and I spoke, not to my mother, but to every person who ever feared being themselves. Some people will never understand, and some will do everything to tear you down, even the ones who once held you when you cried. But identity isn't a costume, and being yourself is not betrayal. My voice cracked, but I didn't stop. My name is Amy. I'm not ashamed, not hiding, and not backing down. This is who I've always been, even before I had the courage to say it. The room was silent. Then Valentina clapped. Slowly at first, then louder. Everyone joined in. A makeup artist cried. Someone from the lighting crew whispered, "That was F********************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************************** viral within hours. It was everywhere. Headlines: Brave beauty star stands up to hate. Amy breaks the internet with her truth. But more importantly, I received thousands of messages from people who had lost family, lost love, lost themselves, and who saw me as hope. 2 days later, I got another message, this time from my younger sister. Mom's furious, but I'm proud of you. I always knew you were stronger than she let you be. I cried for an hour after reading it. It wasn't everything, but it was something. Then came the email that changed everything. From a major beauty brand. Subject: Partnership opportunity, Amy. They wanted me to lead a campaign on authenticity. Emma nearly fainted when I told her. You're going to be everywhere, she whispered.
Billboards. Ads.
Everything. I smiled. But not because of the fame. Because I had become the version of myself I once thought I'd have to kill just to survive. The night before the brand shoot, I stood in front of my mirror, fully dressed in the soft pink gown they'd sent me, heels glittering, lips bold and red. And I whispered, You made it, Amy. They tried to bury you, but they didn't know you were a seed. I remembered the first time I wore lipstick. Not in front of a camera, not in a campaign, but alone, in the dark, with shaking hands. That night, I had cried. Tonight, I smiled. Later, as Emma curled beside me in bed, she asked softly, Do you still miss them? Your mom, your past. I thought for a moment, then said, Some days, yes. But I've learned that chosen love matters more than inherited guilt. She kissed me on the forehead. You're not alone anymore. That morning, I walked onto the set of my first global shoot. Everyone called me by my name.
Amy.
No questions. No slips. No hesitations. Just recognition. And when the director said, You ready? I gave a small smile. I've been ready for a long time. If you told me a year ago that I'd be here, on a billboard, smiling in lipstick and heels, as myself, I would have laughed. I was a regular guy, until her makeup changed everything. But truthfully, it wasn't the lipstick. It was me, finally looking in the mirror and seeing someone worth loving.